Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/getstarted. That's GREENLIGHT.com/getstarted.
I'm telling you, you'd like it.
I feel like I'm going to hurt myself.
I mean, if you have a bad coach, but honestly, that's true of any new exercise program. Oh, Jesus.
Well, hello, me mateys.
Oh, we doing pirates? I want to be a pirate.
Eli, what the...
Captain Nipples.
I'm never calling him that.
Captain Nipples, what happened to all the mics and the mixer and shit?
And the computers and the furniture.
Yeah.
Ah, well, me mateys, if you want to find me treasure, you have to follow me clues.
Your treasure?
Oh,
God
you
damn it.
motherfucker. Forgot we're doing the Oak Island mystery today. Fuck! I want to do pirates.
Look, Eli, if you're going to...
Captain Nipples.
I'm never calling him that.
Captain Nipples, really appreciate you getting into the spirit, but this treasure hunt doesn't end with you burying thousands of dollars worth of audio equipment underground, does it?
Because that would destroy that equipment. All of it. And then it would be useless.
Oh. Yeah.
I don't want to do pirates. I no longer want to do pirates.
I'm sorry, speaking of which, where the hell is Heath?
Dead men tell no tales.
You buried him with the...
He buried him with the sound equipment. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Yeah. Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts, because this is the internet and that's how it works now. I'm Cecil, and I'll be the guy who talks first this week, but other people will also talk, at least two of them, way too much. First up are the before and after pictures for Bowflex or chemotherapy, depending on which side they stand on. Noah and Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cecil. You mean that when you get chemo, your hair falls in, like you get more hair? I thought not.
And I'm working on that rare before, after, before photo montage. I don't do that one a lot.
They have to take a panoramic photo of you.
Full circle. Coming full circle.
Also joining us tonight are two before pictures, Heath and Eli.
Well, sadly, this is the after for both of us. We're both in pretty much the best shape of our lives. Not great. Not great.
Certainly the final shape of our lives. I thought I already got introduced at the beginning with the too much talking. Do I get two now? Last week, I got the... it's confusing.
Before we get into the subject this week, I wanted to take a second to thank the people who make our show go. We know our patrons have way more important things to spend their money on. Virtually all the things, but they give us money anyway, and we're forever humbled by that, and befuddled, actually. If you'd like to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around till the end of the show. And with that out of the way, Eli, tell us what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
We'll be talking about the Oak Island mystery.
And Heath, you took a look at the evidence and you're ready to be the Nancy Drew to our Hardy Boys?
If by that you mean have larger boobies, then yes. Yes, I am.
That's exactly what I meant. Heath, tell us about the Oak Island mystery.
So the Oak Island mystery is the centuries-long story of the many curious discoveries by a series of treasure hunters on Oak Island in the Canadian province of Nova Scotia.
I knew it was going to be on Oak Island. Called it.
Well done. And before you ask, Nova Scotia is First Nation language for 10-year-old Scotch whiskey.
Wait. Who gives a 10-year-old whiskey? That's not a good.
Nope.
You want to get your addiction-based ADD under control and start telling us relevant details that aren't clearly false?
Okay, weird thing to say. Rude. Whatever. Yes, I would love to get that under control, Cecil. And love to cause a vaginal orgasm one day, as long as we're naming pipe dreams. But let's move on anyway. I'm going to start out with a little teaser. This story is going to involve a band of pirates, William Shakespeare, Edgar Allan Poe, FDR, and the Holy Grail. Get ready.
Wow. This sounds like Eli explaining why he's naked.
And erect.
That's erect?
And all these hookers are dead. Oh, wait, that's Tom. Forget it.
Hey,
Forget it.
2 of them started off dead.
You pay less for those.
Not that much less. It's not the discount you'd think.
John. But no.
Okay, moving on quickly. So the story begins in the summer of 1795 when a teenager named Daniel McGinnis decided to explore Oak Island, which sits just off the coast of a community called Western Shore, located on the eastern shore of Nova Scotia. Go fuck yourself. And while McGinnis was walking around, he discovered a circular depression in the ground about 13 feet in diameter.
13 feet in diameter. Jeez. New show on Discovery, My 600-Pound Depression. I think that show's already there, actually.
Yeah, right.
There's a rumor going around at the time, based on the words of a dying sailor, that the famous pirate Captain Kidd buried a bunch of treasure in the region back in the late 1600s. So McGinnis got a couple friends and started digging the depression.
Oh, sure. He gets treasure. I spent so much time around dying sailors, and it's just, I'm a gay guy this. I never saw my sons grow up that. It's fucking bullshit. That's all it is.
And now announcing our first guest ever for Citation Needed, SEAL Team 6. Here to beat Eli within an inch of his life, which appears already done. Who comes pre-beaten? That's not...
You get a discount for that, too.
Bring it on, Michael J. Wood. Bring it on.
Yeah, so the kids got down about 2 feet with their digging, and they found a layer of flagstones. After removing the stones, they kept digging and noticed that there was a clearly defined edge to the pit based on the way the dirt was packed. They also reported the appearance of scrape marks, which seemed to indicate pickaxes or other tools had been used, or that a zombie lady was going to crawl out of a TV. But it was 1795, so that didn't make any sense, and it turned out to be the tools. Anyway, the flagstones and the pickaxe marks made them curious enough to keep going, and after about 10 more feet, they found a layer of wood timber across the width of the hole. After removing the wood and continuing, they found another layer of timber 10 feet further down. And then finally, after the same pattern continued through 20 more feet of dirt and 2 more wood barriers, they gave up. Apparently, this was a combination of, hey, this is probably stupid, and also superstitious dread. I guess dread of those legendary Canadian ditch liches. Which is weird because you know that lich is going to be obnoxiously polite about you stealing his treasure.
Really sorry about this, but bound my intellect and soul to this phylactery, so I'm going to have to devour you with a horde of subordinate corpses. I'll only be a minute, though. It'll only be a minute.
Okay, you did bring gift bags. This is lovely. Thank you. I could tell you really put thought into this. Like, it means a lot to me. Thank you. You can eat me with your corpses.
They dug down 30 plus feet and then they gave up. That's like being married 20 years and then getting a divorce. You're saying, Heath?
Hey. Maybe they just realize that no matter how deep you dig, it's all still mud. That's just, it's...
That's true, too.
I feel like if it was going to cost you treasure to stop digging, you keep digging.
I have 58% less treasure.
You got to figure out your pot odds, man. You got to think about pot odds. All right, so the first try didn't work out.
It didn't work out. It didn't work out because they quit. That's not how didn't work out works. It's not.
Yeah, all right. Well, they quit. But one of the kids, John Smith.
If indeed that was his real name.
Perhaps his real name. We don't know. It's Wikipedia. But John Smith was still convinced that there was something valuable down in the pit. So he bought the land and eventually put together a crew of his own, including some grown-ups with money. And in 1804, they established the Onslow Company, whose business plan was treasure hunting in a weird pit because a teenager found some wood under some dirt.
I spent the entirety of my teen years trying to hide my wood.
I don't know, the whole like treasure hunting in a weird pit because a teenager found some wood under some dirt judginess. It's a little big-headed for a man who makes his living doing radio. You have to search for it. That's all I'm saying. I mean, we all
correction. Search very specifically for, which is what you have to do to find treasure. I present you, Heath, this frayed end of your yarn. Please continue.
Thank you, Cecil. So the Onslow Company started up the pit again and eventually got beyond the original digging from the kids into new territory. At about 30 feet down, no, the math on that does not check out. But this is the internet, and that's how it works now. So about 30 feet down, they hit another layer of timber, but this time with charcoal around it. And as we all know, gold is usually found right under wood and charcoal. So they got excited and kept going. After 10 more feet, they found another layer of wood, but unlike previous wood barriers, it had sap in between the timbers for extra sealing action. Obviously, that was even more auspicious than charcoal, so these guys were pumped, and they kept going.
Isn't the sap usually just in the wood? I don't know. This is like a game of vertical pitfall. I bet after this, it's more wood, then dirt, then 3 alligators in a vine. That's right.
Well, no, but we have to be fair to these guys, though. To this day, charcoal and sap between the wood are the top 10 most interesting things in Canada contenders, right?
Oh, shit.
only when Alanis is on tour, you plebe.
She's on there too. She's on the top 10. No, she's not. She really
Never
isn't.
heard of anybody being so excited about finding things so mundane. It's like they unearthed their dad's collection of J.C. Penney catalogs.
Where are they at?
So did they keep digging? What did they find next?
John Benet.
No, Heath, please continue, Heath.
They did keep digging. The next thing they found was 10 feet of dirt again.
30 feet down now. Yeah. They're 30 feet down again.
They are 5 feet down now. Doesn't matter how many. 10 feet of dirt again, followed by another layer of timber, along with the most exciting thing yet, a bunch of coconut fibers.
Oh, shit. Shit just got real.
Shit got real, Noah. And since coconuts don't grow in Canada, these guys knew something interesting must have happened. Specifically, lots of the crew thought this meant a delivery from the Caribbean.
Amazon was not fucking around back then.
Yeah. But the delivery from the Caribbean made sense, considering that coconut fibers were often used on long voyages as padding for important cargo. Now, other members of the crew, however, argued that a swallow could, grip it by the husk and fly the coconuts in. It led to a really silly argument.
It's not a matter of where he would grip it.
Then right after they find this layer of unladen swallows, which coincidentally is what Tom calls the hookers he kills.
I'm really beginning to regret confiding in you, Cecil.
So they did they reach the Earth's core yet, Heath, or they still got a couple more?
They're only 30 feet down.
Yeah.
You helped me bury her. I'm just saying you helped.
All right, well, spoiler, we eventually find a few of Tom's fingernails, but we'll get there. So the first big discovery, if we're not counting dirt and wood, finally happened at about 90 feet down. That's where they found a mysterious stone tablet with strange symbols inscribed on the face.
Oh. I bet they say, your princess is in another castle.
Yeah.
So they pulled it out of the pit.
Pulled it out,
and,
about 80% effective. They're almost there. Yeah. 80%.
Yep. And they decided to make that piece of stone into part of a chimney and not use it for treasure hunting at all.
Wait.
They're idiots. Yeah, at least not for another 60 years or so. So, yeah, pin in that, but we'll get there in 60 years.
Get in there.
Okay, guys, bad news. We got these giant stone letters, C, L, U, and E. So unless we find an N, we're lost. I guess we use them as a toilet, I guess.
But at this point, if they found gold, they'd use it as a fucking toothbrush. I mean, for fuck's sake, they put it in the chimney, not even on the mantle, just in the chimney.
Yeah. stone inside the chimney. Yeah. So now that they had the giant clue no longer blocking their physical path, the Onslow Company kept digging a little bit further down to about 98 feet and finally went home for the day. Then when they came back the next morning, the pit was about 2/3 filled with water. So naturally, they assumed somebody had poured about 65,000 gallon-sized buckets of water into their pit just to fuck with them.
Prank war.
Yeah. So they got some buckets of their own and started bailing the pit.
Wait, what?
But it turns out that was colossally stupid because no matter how many buckets they scooped out of the pit, it kept refilling itself. Almost as if this pit was on the coast of an island and had some kind of mysterious water source right near it.
Yeah.
Boy, that rain last night sure was salty, huh?
Yeah.
Too salty. The clouds should eat more pineapple. That's all I'm saying.
Oh.
Well, I mean, to be fair, eventually they could have emptied the ocean. So,
Well, if you keep digging to the mantle, the water's just going to vaporize.
right, exactly.
Nope. All right, so the magical the magical font of infinity was making things pretty tough, but the Onslow team wasn't ready to give up yet.
Yeah, they had more chimneys to store their clues in. They're not all full.
Yeah, so later that year, they hired what I'm assuming was a super intelligent coyote with an Acme pump and started bailing out the pit mechanically. And it was working for a minute, but then the machine faltered, and when the super intelligent coyote went over to check on it, the pump exploded and spun his head around so it was facing backwards. This led to a hiatus.
I hate it when that happens.
Naturally.
So the pumping didn't sound like it worked out. What's next?
It did not work out. But then the following year, they got the team back together to work on a new plan. They decided to dig a new pit next to the first one, tunnel down past the magic fountain of infinity, and then dig sideways into the money room.
Of course.
Geraldo.
That's how I pitch anal to my
Unfortunately-
wife. I want to dig sideways into the money room, hon. Can I dig sideways into it?
All right, you move the money room to me. You move the money room, I'll stay here.
Back it up. Back it up.
Yeah, but unfortunately for the Onslow Company, the water demon saw this coming. He could tell what they were trying to do. And he flooded the second pit also.
Oh, no.
So the Onslow Company finally gave up.
Noah, Cecil, when did man discover how water works?
During the first golden shower, I think. That's
So
me.
presidential.
All right, so fast forward about 40 years, and another team of Trailer Park Boy ancestors decided to start up the hunt again. They were called the Truro Company. And since the pit was still filled with water, they got a comically large auger from a really weird store and started drilling the bottom by hand.
You don't start with the whole hand. That's inconsiderate. That you drill the bottom.
And this actually led to the first mention of gold being found when the auger came back up with 3 small links of gold chain. How cool would that be if you did that with your hand? That would be so awesome. 3 small. All right. Or the other theory is that some guy just palmed the 3 links and pretended they came from the pit.
Yeah, right, yeah. Look at what I found. If only we had more investors to go deeper, get a bigger auger.
I don't know. I like the idea of just burying gold chain. Just, yar, me matey, you must make it into a chain, me boy, for fanciness.
Yeah, and also adding to the excitement at this point was an incident with their foreman. Following another drilling soon after, the foreman of the crew was seen grabbing something from the auger, wiping some dirt off, and putting the thing in his pocket. And then immediately after, he left the company, which I really hope was just an amazing prank by some guy who wanted to retire anyway. Other than the gold links and the great prank by the foreman, the Truro Company didn't find anything more and also had to eventually give up around 1850. Then in 1861, yet another team took over the hunt called the Oak Island Association. They also went with the parallel pit strategy, And they also didn't understand why salt water kept filling both pits in perfect timing with the ocean tides. They ultimately found nothing, but did make it into the timeline as the team with the first of 6 deaths at the pit, which happened when a boiler exploded and killed a guy. That was the first one.
Wait, so far 3 companies formed and all failed so far. Is there a Trump-branded excavation coming? I feel
After only 6 people died, they got a plaque for safest workplace environment of 1861. Did anyone else make a chud tunnel or move to the other side there?
Not then.
That's how I pitch anal. Let me make a chud tunnel.
It's very pale and scared of the light. So.
All right, so it's like the mid-1860s, around the same time, somebody finally decided to examine the stone slate that had Iant J. Uclay etched on it. According to one of many accounts, all of which are so highly disputed that everything I've been telling you is pretty much meaningless. But according to one, a professor of language.
Wait. A professor of language? Like all languages, or did he pick one of them?
All the languages, Tom. Don't make it complicated. He had a babblefish, and he knew all the languages. And he was from a university in Halifax, and he was able to decode the weird markings, again, because he knew every single language.
Yeah, bullshit, right? Yeah, exactly.
Inspired by Edgar Allan Poe's short story called The Gold Bug. There's the Edgar Allan Poe connection. Inspired by that short story, the professor basically figured it out like a cryptoquote from the newspaper. Apparently, the etching said, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. And this has led lots of people to keep believing the theory about Captain Kidd's buried treasure.
And while you try to think of any fucking reason a person would put, my secret treasure is right below, you're almost there, we'll let the suspense linger through part of the show that we call Apropos of Nothing.
Okay, guys, very exciting day. Time to pick up where my friends and I left off as boys so long ago and find that treasure.
Yay!
Okay, great first week. Little water problems. Hey, Alan, pal, I'm talking, okay? We can get back to bailing in a second, okay, bud?
Okay. It's still in there. Water's still in there.
I know, buddy, but I'm talking. All right, let's go home. We'll start fresh tomorrow. Okay, big water problem.
I'll say.
Is that helpful? No? Okay. I talked to the pump guy and he... Oh, really? Alan, we spoke about this.
I think I see the bottom, boss. I'm getting on the...
Standing on the bottom. What are you standing on?
Here we go.
Okay, so the pump exploded. That's a setback, no doubt about that one.
Dude, it's still filled with water.
I quit the hole.
Guys, if we just...
Yeah, me too.
See ya.
20 minutes. Maybe 30. Almost there.
And we're back. When we left off, yet another team of treasure hunting stooges had stepped in it. And we learned that the thing that says clue on it shouldn't be repurposed for building materials too quickly. So, Heath, let's dig a little deeper, shall we?
Okay, so despite the decoded tablet with the giant clue, there was another hiatus in the treasure hunting after the Oak Island Association gave up in 1867. But then in 1890, everybody got excited again. This was partially because everyone's stupid, and partially because somebody found a small copper coin on the island. Not even in the pit, though, just somewhere on the island.
Gosh.
Regardless, this led to a new team of hunters forming the Oak Island Treasure Company. And with shiny copper and scent signs gleaming in their eyes, they started digging. And also, in addition to digging, they set off dynamite underground in order to spring all the booby traps they were convinced were there. And, of course, kill all the mystical water demons and the font of infinity.
Yeah, but they found a copper coin. You know, like, have a penny, leave a penny. Need a penny, dig a relentless series of pits all across some stupid island until it's pockmarked like a horny teenager's fate. No, that is a lot less catchy. Let's stick with take a penny.
That's fine. Yeah.
But now I want to take issue with the way you phrased this, because it seems to me that the Oak Island Treasure Company may have just assumed that Chester Copperpot would be carrying candles. This does not seem like a crazy assumption to
For
me.
the younger members of our generation, that's from a movie about adults who torture their mentally handicapped brother and some strange children. That's what that movie's about.
That's actually Goonies Part 2. Real fucking dark movie. That Goonies.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back to the story. So if it seems like there's a pattern here, that's because there absolutely is. Much like the teams that came before them, the Oak Island Treasure Company spent way too much money finding one small, useless thing, got way too excited about it, and also killed a guy. The thing they found was a tiny piece of sheepskin parchment with the letters VI written on it. And apparently they sent this to some specialists at Harvard who verified its authenticity. Whatever that means, I guess. Authentic as a tiny piece of paper that said VI, whatever. That's authentic. And by the way, we'll get to the Shakespeare connection soon, but this might actually be the first little bit of it. It's very likely that this was a lost manuscript of the sequel to Henry V called Henry VI.
It's called a quarto, Heath, unless it's part 3 of Henry VI, in which case it was printed as an octavo. But read a fucking book, manuscript. It's his second earliest printed work of Shakespeare outside of the folio format, manuscript. I think we can all have a good chuckle at our friend Heath. Quarto.
All right, so Eli's hanging from a locker. Perfect. So moving on. The parchment thing turned out to be pretty boring and useless, much like this entire team. But the death part of their story is definitely worth mentioning. So remember how the pit keeps filling up with ocean water? Well, the new foreman, a guy named Maynard Kaiser, was standing on a platform a little bit above the water level, giving a big speech to the crew. And then out of nowhere, a shark jumped out of the water, grabbed Kaiser in its teeth, and dove back down to the pit, just like Deep Blue Sea.
No.
Just like Samuel.
Just like it. Yeah. Well, speaking of jumping the shark, are there still companies forming to dig this big water hole? Or?
We're not just going to let that go. That's the death we're promised.
Yeah.
That's
So,
it.
so the next major event on the timeline is in 1909 when a new company called the Old Gold Salvage Group showed up on the island.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt again. The next major event was when everyone figured out how to get the shark out of the pit. That was the next major event. After everyone went, then they were like, we got to get that shark out of this hole.
All right. Well, I obviously made up the shark. That was completely bad. But a guy named Maynard Kaiser did die when a pulley broke and dropped him like 100 feet into the pit.
Yeah.
Anyway, fun fact, one of their crew of this new company just happened to be a 27-year-old guy without polio named Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
No shit.
These guys were at least smart enough to pour some paint into the hole and realized there were several vents around the island's coast that led ocean water into the pit. But they weren't able to close the vents, and they never found any gold. Nonetheless, Roosevelt continued to be weirdly obsessed with Oak Island treasure for the rest of his life. According to a letter he wrote to a friend while he was president, FDR was just about to head back to the island when World War II broke out, and he was all pissed. He was like, fuck, now I got to deal with this now. Stupid fucking Nazis fucking up my treasure hunt. Hurrah.
I mean, how many lives could have been saved if Hitler had just gotten into geocaching?
People always get distracted by the 6 million Jews and the 2 million casualties at Stalingrad and shit, but that war had real victims too.
FDR.
We're ruined.
I mean, to be fair, Trump is going through the exact same thing. He had almost found all the eggs from the White House egg hunt when Charlottesville happened. He was like 6 eggs away, guys.
There were nicely painted eggs on both sides of the hedge. They're very nicely painted.
So next up on the list of hunters was a team led by a guy named William Chappell, who was part of the Oak Island Treasure Company, who failed to find anything back in the 1890s. Chappell's crew started working in 1931, but immediately had trouble. Most importantly, the island was full of holes at this point, and they couldn't figure out which one was the original pit that had all the barriers. So they just guessed and got it wrong and ended up making a new hole, which obviously didn't have any gold. They did, however, stick to the theme of finding not treasure and getting way too excited. This included a lamp, an axe, and a bunch of other stuff that 130 years of failed treasure hunters would obviously leave around this pit.
The island at this point has to be the geographical equivalent of a real doll. It's just all holes with nothing inside.
I just love this image of them like getting all excited, like, the lost diary of Dave, the treasure hunter. Fuck, I gotta write this in my diary, and then got all excited.
Yeah, so Chappell's team gave up in 1932, but by 1935, an eccentric steel magnate from New Jersey named Gilbert Hedden decided to buy the pit land and, I guess, use his knowledge of metal to finally uncover the treasure. Owning a steel company and finding gold are both metal based in general, so he was confident he could find the gold.
Yeah, right, because that's how that works. I own part of 2 podcast companies, and I'm not even allowed to have my own computer, so it's not sound logic.
Also, Hedden was apparently convinced that the Captain Kidd theory was true because he read a book, I can't stress this enough, a fictional novel of fiction called Captain Kidd and His Skeleton Island. And in that work of fiction, there was a fictional map that Hedden was convinced had to be Oak Island. Hedden was so sure about this that he just showed up in London, went to this author's house to bother him about the map, and the author was like, "Oh, wow, you really should have just like sent a letter first. No, it's fiction. You're stupid."
Just picturing Hedden being like, "Oh, bummer, you still want to get lunch?" And the author's just like, "Oh, with the man who thought my children's book was real? No, I'm good. I ate before."
Yeah, so after the rich guy gave up, there was another long timeout on the hunting. And then in 1959, a professional crazy person named Robert Restel took over the pit. Restel made his money doing a motorcycle stunt show called Globe of Death, in which he and his wife would drive around on motorcycles at 65 miles an hour, throwing large metal balls at each other. Mm-hmm. Apparently, that's a show people would watch.
You know what? But before internet porn, we took what we could get, Heath. We took what we could get.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean took what you could get? I would watch that and porn right now simultaneously. 2 screens. I'm ready.
Okay, I was thinking you jerk off to it, but I wasn't sure. Noah was kind of vague, so yeah. Okay.
You do. Yeah. So the transition from Globe of Death to digging a pit was actually a big step up in the sanity department for this guy Restel. And I would have guessed also in the safety department, but it turns out I would have guessed wrong. Here's the story. On August 17th, 1965, Mr. Restel was peering over the edge of the pit they were working on when he inhaled a whole bunch of carbon monoxide fumes from a gas engine they were using right fucking next to him, got knocked out unconscious, and fell into the water-filled tunnel.
Oh, wow.
Then his son, Bobby, saw this happen, ran over to help, and also fell into the water unconscious for the exact same reason. That's when 2 other workers ran over, and the exact same thing happened again. All 4 people died.
Last guy falls in is the great-great-grandson of the guy from the boat from a couple weeks ago. Just like, okay, you have to admit, 4 in a row is funny, right, Alan? Alan, 4 in a row, come on. It's pretty farcical.
This is like bobbing for OSHA, you
Right?
know?
We don't play human dominoes enough. Just line them up.
True. Very true.
I'm going to get an email. That's not how dominoes are really played. They're not meant for stacking.
Yeah, they're dumb cards.
know.
They're dumb cards. That's what dominoes are. Thanks, correction person. You couldn't afford the
Racist.
paper.
So, a little bit after the Restles got their obvious Darwin Awards, a geologist named Robert Dunfield took over the operation, and he decided that he needed some heavy machinery, so he built a bridge from the mainland of Nova Scotia to make it possible. Dunfield actually managed to drill all the way down to bedrock, which included the discovery of what seemed to be a 40-foot deep empty chamber that he hoped to explore.
Intimidating, but I'd give it a try. Just saying. I'm not saying no.
But some other rival treasure hunter got mad and bought all the property on the mainland side of the bridge and shut it down for spite. He literally built a museum right where the bridge would start. This made it so Dunfield couldn't bring in any more equipment, and Dunfield eventually gave up after a really weird sitcom feud. So Dunfield left in 1966. Then in 1967, a new group called Triton Alliance started digging.
Really? They haven't given up
A
yet.
lot of optimistic people. They're going like a foot per year is the pace right now. A lot of optimistic people. So Triton Alliance started digging and eventually reached the empty chamber that Dunfield had also found. So they lowered a video camera into the pit and saw what they believed was a severed hand, a corpse, and several treasure chests.
Well,
But apparently, all these people had crippling pirate stuff pareidolia because they sent divers down to explore 10 different times and found none of the stuff that they thought they saw in the cameras.
Wait. What did they think? That the corpse and the severed hand were still around from the original burying like 200 years
right.
ago? Was this like a corpse the pirates were like stashing to eat later? Why would they put it down there?
I just want to know the mood of that room, right? Like, all right, guys, am I crazy or is that a peg leg? It's like, I mean, it's straight. It is straight.
They send the video camera down there. They just see a guy with misaligned eyeballs shouting, "Baby Ruth!"
Yeah, so despite everything we just talked about being freely available public information, Oak Island continued having a series of treasure hunters making land deals and drilling new holes more or less continuously all the way up until the present day. Still no pirate gold, but there's been plenty of evidence to back up some interesting theories. So before we wrap it up, let's take a quick look at some of the most popular theories. First up, some people think the pit is a natural sinkhole, but those people are nerds. Boo. Moving on. Another theory is that the pit was constructed in 1789 by the French Navy as a hiding place for Marie Antoinette's lost jewels, which actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, we all know she had to have someone sneak it out of the building when all the poor people attacked her palace in 1789. Also, the French did have a navy. They knew about Canada, and 1789 is a year before 1795.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, all fits together pretty nicely. Good theory.
Before? But like the French Navy just like forgot to come back for it. Like,
Any other theories, Heath?
Yes, there's also one out there proposed by a guy named Barry Fell, who was basically David Barton of the 1970s. According to Fell, that stone tablet with the inscription was actually written by ancient Coptic Christians. And it said, "To escape contagion of plague and winter hardships, he is to pray for an end or mitigation. The people will perish in misery if they forget the Lord, alas." So slightly different than 40 feet down to...
Yeah, right.
it's a lot more words.
Yeah. And here's the thing about Fell's theory. He's pretty sure these Coptic Christians sailed from North Africa to Nova Scotia looking for a hiding place to keep one really important secret sentence.
About how to to avoid plague, right? I mean, why would you bury the? Well, we don't want just everybody not having plague.
The Jenny McCarthy story.
Like Shakespeare, also a tragedy.
Well, there you go.
Speaking of which, Cecil, by far the best theory, and the one that's clearly borne out by the facts, is the connection between the Oak Island pit, the parchment with the letters VI, you may remember that from before, and the fact that all of Shakespeare's work was actually written by Sir Francis Bacon. That's a true story.
You down like the dog you are.
Well, here's the thing. The evidence bears it out. If it wasn't obvious already, all the evidence we talked about today pretty much seals it. Plus, Bacon invented an infinite spring back in the day. Infinite spring of water. And he was always using words with VI. Case closed.
Case closed the other way. Case closed. Closed to the opposite. Opened and then closed again. It's upside down closed.
I thought it was just a figure of speech. I rest my case. Moving on. Cecil, would you like to ask me to summarize it?
I would love to. I'm going to do that right now. Here we go. And if you had to summarize what you learned in one sentence, Heath, what would that be?
Eli has a $200,000 degree from NYU about a fake author.
Real author. Porn.
Are you ready to answer hole-related questions from our panel?
I am very ready for this.
All right. Unbeknownst to the audience, this entire episode was actually just an elaborate analogy for what? A, Trump's travel ban. B, Heath's first sexual experience.
Still to come.
No, different hole. No, this one's filled with water now.
That is eerie. That is eerie. So far, my answer is B.
All right, there's two more. Hold on. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't answer yet. Was it C, me trying to figure out what casting director saw in Sam Worthington? Or D, the life and times of Eli's first hamster?
E, both B and D. I had sex with Eli's hamster.
At my wedding.
Deflowered Heath.
Just like running seductively on a wheel. Eyeing Heath from across the room while endless love plays. Heath, you've met my hamster, right? No, I don't think we have.
All right.
That's a hamster singing. I don't want to wait.
All right. Well, guys, to believe that there's treasure in them there holes, you have to believe some pretty impossible shit. Which of the below is the least egregiously stupid? A, that pirates used shovels to bury treasure so deep you later need machines to dig it out.
Pretty stupid, turns out.
B, that anyone with any money ever went to Nova Scotia.
Also pretty stupid.
C, that pirates are basically human squirrels just burying gold and forgetting to come back for it.
Right.
There we go. I don't remember. Anyone write it down? D, that when three guys pass out and fall into a pit of water and drown, the best thing to do is to run right over and see if you get help.
Wow. Tough. A and D are both very attractive, egregiously stupid answers. I'm going with A though. Just keep the pirates with shovels. It's amazing.
I was shocked in the story when they're like, yeah, they dug down like 90 feet with shovels. I'm like, what? All right. Many times throughout history, Heath, we couldn't help ourselves and could not stop digging in holes.
True story.
Which of the following is one of those times? A, Kim Kardashian. B, New Orleans. C, two-fisting it. And that's not a drinking reference, by the way.
No, it is not.
Or D, Danny Trejo's face.
So mean. It is definitely B, mission accomplished, New Orleans.
Have Heck of a job, Brownie.
Okay, Heath, my turn. Which of the following pieces of evidence prove that Shakespeare both existed and wrote his own plays? Is it A?
Whatever, go ahead.
The selection from Sir Thomas More, written in his own hand, that still exists today and is available for purchase at the British Museum with his trademark brilliance? B, his surviving signature for his rental of apartments, which match the aforementioned paper and have been dated by scientists who do science. C, the fact that he was in a trial and testified in court, and there are records of him doing that. D, all of the above, the parts of my left that aren't dick joke related are not a lie. D. Answer is D.
All right. Well, if we make like $200,000 on this episode, you totally worth it. Your degree, it's awesome.
Well, no, because it would have to be, because that wouldn't be, he wouldn't get to keep all of that.
Yeah, no, it'd be a million.
Yeah,
You'd
we'd have to make a full
on it.
million.
Okay,
And then
well,
he's just at a wash. I just want to point out, if that happens, he's still just at zero.
Yeah,
like he's at a wash.
Yeah,
At that
he
point.
just basically topped the tank off.
But if you have $1 million, you shouldn't like be afraid. You shouldn't just have gone, oh, you could still give us $1 million. Don't think you can. Honestly, don't give Tom his. But other than that, you can give us ours.
Yeah,
I can use $420,000.
All right. Well, it was E. Sir Francis Bacon wrote everything, and I changed it on Wikipedia.
Wrong, incorrect. I win. Please announce me.
Oh, he does win. Eli wins. So, Eli, you get to announce who's going to be next week's essayist.
I nominate a fellow Shakespeare aficionado like myself, Noah Lugeons.
Now I'll toss it over to my lovely wife, Sarah, for last week's Twitter answer and this week's Twitter question.
Thanks, guys. Last week's question was, what would be the title of a romantic comedy about Marie and Pierre Curie? We had so many great answers, we chose the top 5. From Twitter, Khalib Locke says, 500 Days of Chemo. Eck Manson said, Legally Pitch Blend. Sakura Shinra CEO said, Lead Linings Cookbook. Psychopomp Gecko said, 10 Things I Hate About U-238. And from Facebook, Gray Hunter said, 4 Exposures and Our Funeral. This week's question is, what is buried on Oak Island? Just retweet or Facebook share this episode with your answer for a chance to be next week's winner. Back to you, Cecil.
All right. Well, for Noah, Tom, Eli, and Heath, I'm Cecil. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Noah will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, check out The Skeptocrat, The Scathing Atheist, God Awful Movies, and Cognitive Dissonance podcast. And if you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per-episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod. Or leave us a 5-star review anywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out citationpod.com. Eli is a rape apologist.
That's your sign off?
That is. I ain't reading that.
Whew. Lots of water. Hell of a thing. Good cardio, though. Balin works the whole body. Whew.
And then we sat on the edge of this large pit, and he drew me like one of his French girls.
Okay, Rose. Okay, that's great. But what happened to the heart of the ocean?
It was one of the most erotic moments of my life.
Okay, that's repulsive. Look, did you drop the sapphire in the pit? Is it down there right now?
He caressed me all night with his tongue.
Okay, that's great, Rose. Really, just where's the necklace? Can we just get straight to the...
I think he was double jointed, actually.
It's worth $30 million. We're all going to be rich if you tell us where the necklace is.
It was way bigger than a baby's arm.
No, Celine Dion. Nope. Oh my God. Fuck this. I quit the treasure hunt.
And a flute solo.
Don't leave. Don't leave. He tongued my gash. My gash all night. He did. All up in there. He owned that motherfucker. Is what he owned it.
Give me some Bryan Adams. I'm back on board, but no.
Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/get-started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get-started.